Hi everyone, I'm Victoria.
And I'm Clay.
And today we're going to be finishing up Scott Pilgrim with Volume 3.
1, 2, 3, 4. It says Compendium 3, but she is actually going into book number 5 and ending with book number 6. What did you think of each book?
Thought they were great. So I will say I get it now. By the way, we're heading into spoilers with this. I don't know when we'll do it.
Already?
So I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. So just a spoiler warning to just cover our bases.
Okay.
So I only watched the movie first a few years ago. Fell asleep when you tried to show it to me the first time. Then I finished it and I was like, okay. That was it. I'm good.
And then I just breathed a large sigh, asked myself what I was doing here.
Yeah, you probably did.
I constantly talk as a pirate when I get frustrated.
This is news to me.
No, it's not. I always call you a scallywag when I'm irate.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, once I read it, then I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. I do think the movie is much more enjoyable after reading all of the books.
Yeah.
And then definitely glad that I read everything before we watched the show that takes off, which I find to be all good. So the movie now is higher ranked in my mind after I have read this.
Okay, cool.
Yes, I will say the books are definitely better than the movie.
Yeah, that's very common of you.
Oh, thanks. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that they shoved 6 books into one movie. That's difficult.
That's very difficult.
Yeah.
So what do you keep in? What do you keep out? Certain lines are going to other characters, and I'm sure we'll get into all that, but...
Yes, because we rewatched the movie recently, and I was noticing lines had been switched for characters. And I suppose I understand from the movie perspective why they did that for the beats.
Yes.
But I thought it lost some of the character growth that was given to characters specifically within the book. So that part I had like, That's how I felt when a different character said that line. I was like, it doesn't mean as much to me now.
Yeah, I found myself in the theater snapping my fingers and I understood that. I knew where that was coming from.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't snap in a movie theater. It's probably annoying. But I'm like, I know it. I read this.
Yeah.
I read this part.
Yeah, you read this part? I read that. I read a book.
Yeah.
I read a book. I mean, it has a lot of pictures in it, but I read it.
Does.
It does have a lot of pictures. And I do think I loved the TV show so much because it kept to the same art style of it. And I like that it didn't go through and just give me the books all over again.
Right.
So there are different experiences and different things that you can take away from on each of the 3 different mediums.
Yeah.
You want to call them that?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. But I think we should go through the book and then we'll talk further on the rest of it. So last we left off, it was getting ready to be Scott's birthday, which, do you remember what day that is?
Why do you do this to me? I don't even remember my birthday. I was born in the 90s.
Okay, we're not. I didn't ask about you.
I don't know. March 32nd.
Close. September 27th.
And that was not close. That was actually the polar opposite of what I said, but thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think you could be further from what I said.
True. So I found this to be interesting.
Okay.
Scott is wearing a shirt that says 4.5. And I believe that to be because he just defeated the 4th Evil X, but he hasn't met the 5th one yet.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just a little reminder visual clues as to where we are.
And as an avid comic reader, why don't you tell the audience who the 4.5 comes from?
What do you mean?
Okay, who has that blue uniform with the white logo that has 4 on it?
Oh, the Fantastic Four.
But who is the 4.5? Franklin Richards.
Oh, you're talking about his
Which
kid.
is Reed
Okay.
Richards and Susan Richards' son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one calls her Susan.
Susan?
Susan. Her name's Sue.
Oh. I like Susan.
I do like Susan better than Sue.
If Reed or Victor got angry at her, I bet they would say Susan.
Susan. You don't ever call me by my first name.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Okay. So they're having a little birthday party, and it's pretty cute because you see that Ramona actually likes Scott and has said, she's like, happy birthday, baby, which I hate that term of endearment, but whatever.
Oh, and then also on 4.5, there's a moment where I think she says it in the comic as well, but in the movie, she says, you're just another evil X waiting to happen. So he's slowly developing a number and where he fits among the evil X's.
Because he started out as a 0.
Yeah.
Yep. So then we go into Julie's party. She keeps having all of these themed parties. And again, something else that I love about the books is that you are getting to see the seasons and the in-between of the X's, where I know the movie had to rush through all 7 of them, so there really weren't any beats in between.
Right.
And that chance, because I kept asking you after the movie, I was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get why Scott's even into Ramona. I'm not seeing where she's actually wanting to be with him. It's just so much like Scott wanting to be with her. And this shows, no, the 2 of them are cute. Like, they actually dressed up together. They go to these parties. They may not love them, but they're going, and that's fun. So they go to the party, and then they meet the perfect asshat and the handsome jerk.
Yes.
And they are
the Caddy and Aggie twins.
Yep. Kyle and Ken. So we see them.
Yep. The book will give you the most information on these 2, by the way. The movie and TV show, spoiler alert, are going to be fairly light on the Caddy and Aggie twins. Yes. Because they have to fight them simultaneously.
Yes. And I do like the big battle scene that happened in the movie.
Yes.
But it is more fun in the books to see how they progress. And they have a conversation with Ramona, and then do you know what they bring out at the party?
The robot.
Yes.
This little robot.
So cute.
It's adorable.
It is.
It has big blocky hands and feet that kind of looks like a Mega Man character.
Yes, he does. And the way that he punches as well. So Scott is dealing with this robot where Kim and Ramona go outside for some fresh air, and they're chatting, and I do like that because I feel like Kim gets shafted in a lot of the other stories. Yeah. She doesn't have much personality and she doesn't really interact with a lot of the characters. Right. But this gives them kind of a sweet moment where they're just hanging out. Like they're cool, and I like that. I like seeing that. Yeah. And they're completely ignoring the fact that... What?
What?
I said that weird.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I did. They're completely ignoring the fact that...
Bread makes you fat?
What?
Leave us down in the comments down below that if your bread makes you fat or not.
Yeah, it does. No, they're ignoring the fact that Scott is getting his ass kicked by this robot. Julie even comes out and is like, hey, anybody worried about this? And the 2 girls just keep chatting. I do love this text message that, because I just love Wallace. Oh. that he sends to Ramona, and it says, hey buddy, I'm a drunk for you. You equals Scott.
I think there needs to be more drunk texts out there. Wallace is fairly fun.
Wallace is great. I just love the amount of D's and buddies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Those were like the best days of texting, too. Like these days, you just kind of, everybody has like GIFs and memes. Yeah, I have to make your own emojis back then.
Yes,
it was a different time.
And we didn't have autocorrect.
No.
When the phone starts, because this is a flip phone. It doesn't have autocorrect on this.
Yeah, one of my favorite things was like, can I read your texts that you sent me last night in rapid succession?
Yeah.
And they're the best.
We see Scott has moved into Ramona's place, and she's going through this whole list of everything. This just reminds me of you and me. I read this part and I was like, oh my god, it's Clay and me. I go through the whole list of everything that I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And it's in a very shortened period of time, and then she's like, and then I'm gonna go to work and then I'll come back. And she was like, can you just empty the dishwasher today? Literally something that I've asked Clay before too. And she gets home and he's like, oh crap, I didn't do that. So he races over and he starts unloading it, and then as she walks in, he like closes it and hits start. Like, you see this? I did that. So, because Scott was on the phone all day, he needs to grab the charger, and Ramona says it's in the drawer. What does Scott find in there?
It's not appropriate.
Besides that, like, if you push that aside, what else does he find in there?
Gideon. Yeah. Not the cat, but he finds a letter.
Yes, he doesn't find the whole Gideon person.
No, yeah, it just says the letter from Gideon.
Yeah.
Or to Gideon.
It just has Gideon on there. So we don't know. He gets real weird about it. And again, I think it's because they're young and they don't do well. Neither one of them do well with addressing their problems head on. He doesn't actually ask her. And so instead they just start acting weird.
Yes.
Around each other, and then Ramona brings up envy, and he's like, no, I never think about her. And she's like, should I cut my hair? Because she's let her hair grow long, which I said before, I think is a sign that she's getting more comfortable with Scott, and she's letting her hair stay the same color and growing it out. Yeah.
As if she's not trying to, add so many changes to her life. Like, some repetition is good, some consistency is good in your life, and your social life too.
Yeah.
So it's like every Friday I want to have like a dinner. It's just you and me and no TV or anything. I think that'd be good.
That would be great. We've never done that.
I've never done that.
We've never done that.
We talk plenty, so.
Do we?
Yeah. Yeah, but she's growing accustomed to that. It's like, this, okay, a regular relationship could work.
Yes, and I do think sometimes people need a certain amount of stability.
Let me ask you this. Does this feel relatable to you? Because there's this big chunk of the books, like 3 and 4, really go into like the daily life, like day to day of living in your 20s. Does this kind of feel like that to you? Like it captures a lot of that feeling?
Somewhat, but at that point, I had a career already.
Okay, well.
I had.
By this point, I was working at Subway, so this felt very.
Well, your story's different. Your path is different because you're going into the Navy. So I know, because once I was 22, I graduated, and then I had a job already lined up before graduation, and I had a full career, and then I worked that office job as well as I traveled for work, and then I got a job teaching dance in a local studio as well too.
Okay.
So I moved to a city where I didn't really have friends.
So everybody is reading Scott Pilgrim going, yeah, this is really relatable, and then meanwhile you're thinking of like Mr. Chow or one of the parents from this.
Yeah, well, yes. And because I forget how old.
I think you just kind of skipped that era where everything was kind of more fun because it was so spontaneous.
Yeah, I didn't have that because I bought my first house right before I turned 24.
Ah. So what is it like jumping 10 years into the future?
That's what I'm like.
From 18 to 28, that should be your movie.
The Merlin, not too long after that. So I just kind of did that. I mean, I had friends who were much more like this, who were having apartments and they'd have to move and dealing with roommates and all of that.
Couch surfing.
Yeah, and I owned my own house and didn't have that. So
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I didn't even have an apartment for a year. It was less than a year, and I was by myself.
Living in Seattle, it was definitely a lot like this. And then when I didn't have anything to do, we would go to concerts just every weekend, just to see whatever bands, go to baseball games.
Yeah.
We had no idea what direction our life was going in, but we were going to take advantage of how crazy the situation was. So this is right in that sweet spot. And I came back from college a little bit earlier than I would have intended.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a lot like this.
I didn't really have that much fun.
I crashed my car through a fence.
I didn't know about that.
No, we shouldn't have driven that Honda Civic to go get some food that day. It was very snowy out.
Oh.
Did you hear about it? Okay, well,
no.
I think I'm getting off track, but the point is that this stuff kind of happened all the time.
Yeah, no, everything has been planned out in my life.
Oh.
I'm just now starting to do more spontaneous stuff.
Gotcha.
And it's still not very spontaneous. God, I sound so boring. So boring. Stephen Stills gets the band a gig over at Sneaky D's, which is the place that they've been hanging out like every night.
Yeah.
Or at least in the last book they were.
Yep.
So they're actually going to play, and they have not played for quite a while. They've been doing solo parts recording, so they haven't played together as a band, and they say they suck, which again, the book, I'm not really sure if they actually do suck or if they just think they do. Then it gets brought up to Knives from her friend Tamara, her one friend at school, that hey, did you know that I actually saw Scott with Ramona while you two were still together? And she's like, wait, what? Like, he cheated on me? Which now makes more sense from the movie. Like, I don't know if she ever sees that really.
Right.
So this part, it was like, oh, okay, we're missing that.
Yeah.
This makes sense then.
Throw those little spots in the comic, whereas in the movie, all those storylines converge literally on top of a pyramid in the Chaos Theater. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he can tackle all those issues going on in his life, and at one point it's just too hard.
It is too hard. It is.
Yeah.
So then we go back to Scott and Ramona, and apparently Ramona doesn't like their band, and Scott cannot get over that. He is obsessing over it. I have felt like that before, where I'm like, oh my god, I get so obsessed about it. And I do think it's when you're in earlier parts of your relationship, and I think he's more concerned over the Gideon letter, but he uses this to like focus his mind in on.
Yes.
Because it's more something maybe he can understand than Gideon.
Yeah.
We go over to the actual night that they're supposed to play at Sneaky D's, and in walks the twins.
Is Ramona even addressing these twins yet?
No, she doesn't even talk to Scott about it. She talks to Kim about it when they were outside. And Scott was having to fight the robot. Yep. She just makes a comment like, oh yeah, I dated them. And he was like, at the same time. And she was like, yeah. And then walks outside with Kim. And it's like, I think he deserves more information here.
Yeah. She sees a bad situation. She sees the past starting to catch up with her, and it kind of pushes her more and farther away.
Yeah, that's true. And I can see her, because the last book ended where she was really opening up towards Scott, and now that the twins are back, she's closing back away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's in the bathroom, and Knives follows her in, which is super creepy.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want this. And she's like, he cheated on us. And then it hits Ramona, both of us. And it's interesting how she's drawn here, where it's in this light and it's kind of faded.
Yeah.
Thought that was pretty cool. Like, feel like that moment in films where they do that thing where they like pull in, but the world behind them falls out. And you're like, whoa, kind of like distance. You know what I'm talking about? Or they're playing with that. That's what that image kind of reminded me of. It was like, out of body. What are you talking about? I had no idea.
And props to Brian Lee O'Malley. He knows how to somehow capture that in this kind of comic stylistic form. He knows how to capture to like make you feel like you're floating in third person, kind of watching yourself experience something. Or
he's very good.
Yeah,
he
feel
is.
yourself to kind of float away. Yeah, he's pretty talented. Brandon O'Malley. Also the author of the book as well.
Yes.
For you uninitiated.
This gets weird. Of course, instead of addressing the problem, Ramona just says, hey, you should stay somewhere else tonight. I know.
I know. It takes the breath out of your lungs.
It does, because she's done this before.
Yeah.
And we all know how that ended.
Right.
Or if you don't, go back and watch the Volume 2 video, and then you'll know. So where does he go this time? Thankfully not Lisa's. He heads over to Wallace. Scott's trying to justify why Ramona needed this space. He's like, it's a small apartment. It's not. It's a townhome.
Yeah.
They literally don't even have to be on the same level. He pulls out this file folder on Scott, which I don't know about you, but I don't keep file folders on my friends.
You gotta stay organized.
Okay. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
He's got blurry photos of Gideon Gordon Graves.
Yeah.
There's another Julie's party, and this is where the even bigger robot comes after Scott. Scott has been drinking.
Why does Scott not drink? Says real dickish things when he drinks. He doesn't like doing it because he also
knows he's not a good person when he does.
Yeah, his charisma goes down. Like in the movie, also, he takes one gin and tonic and then says probably the worst line that he said in the whole movie, which is there any guy that in this place you have not slept with?
Yes.
Yeah. I had one drink.
Well, this gets real weird and definitely not in the movie. The twins kidnap Kim. And she's drunk. And Scott and Ramona let her walk home alone. She's not even dating anybody. And people, she's kidnapped again. This is not the first time for Kim. No! And she's badass, I think. It's not like she's some little weakling that it's like, oh, I got kidnapped again. Yeah. So, the heck? I know, I did a full playthrough with Kim in the video game, in the side-scrolling beat-em-ups. She's got awesome attacks. Like there's one where she calls in an assist, and her and Knives kiss, and it heals her. That's awesome. It's cute. That is awesome. He really starts to struggle against the twins. Kim is still a little drunk from last night. She has the brilliant idea to pull Bardic Inspiration out and tell Scott that Ramona texted her and said that he can do this. Yep. That would give me inspiration too. Yeah, she didn't text. Her phone says low battery instead. Yeah. Well, that can happen. Yeah, so he's hungover and he makes it through. And he actually defeats both of them, and it was pretty cool. So he gets Kim out of the cage, and again just leaves her. I know. He doesn't let me walk you home because you're still a little drunk. You've been in a cage all night, like you're cold and hungry. Let's get you home safely so nothing else happens. No, then he's like, oh, Ramona. So he races back to her. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. And she's now, the lines are coming back. And I said, I think this is from when Gideon's doing something to her. Like monitoring or something. Yes, and she's holding the letter. Yeah. And she cut her hair. Yes, she did. I don't like it. I don't like it. She's kind of going back to her old ways. Yeah, and she just straight up disappears. Completely gone. But she's left her cat, and he goes to get the cat, and the door closes behind him and locks, and of course he doesn't have his keys because he's Scott and he never remembers to have his keys. But somebody else will know. What? You'll be trying to leave and you're like, where are my keys? Where's my wallet? Where's my phone? Where's my head? When Merlin ran outside, I did not think of that. I just went right after him. Sure. Well, started hauling out. Yeah, you did, and I appreciate that. He ran all around the neighborhood in one giant circle, and then ran right back to the front door. And he's looking at me, panting. He's like, "That was cool, wasn't it? That was great. That was really great." Scott is really, really in a very depressed place now. He doesn't know exactly what to do. He's couch surfing at friends' places. he's crying at work. Kim is going to go spend some time up where her parents are, like up further north, and do some wilderness exploring.
So I love this. Like, all the characters are trying to grow simultaneously. It makes Scott kind of bring out of his funk of like thinking of himself constantly as the main character on the main quest, and start thinking of like, oh shit, all my friends and they have ambition and dreams and stuff. They have things that they want to do, and he starts really starting to think of, you know, how other people think, which is cool.
It is cool. Yeah, I do like it. There's a Christmas movie that I like. I love Christmas movies.
Jeez.
Wait. This one's a good one. It's got Emilia Clarke in it, and it's called Last Christmas. And she is someone, she was very sick, and she had to have a heart transplant. You meet her after she's had it, but her life's just shit, and she's a shitty person to everybody. People just kind of put up with her because she went through something so horrific. But she's a dick to everyone, and she finally starts realizing, like, I'm screwing up other people's lives. It's not just me I'm fucking up, it's everybody else. And I think Scott's starting to go through that realization, as well as Ramona too. It's like you just leave like a wake of destruction behind you everywhere you go. So Scott's still trying to get the Gideon cat back. I don't know why I'm doing this. This cat. This is now the sign for cat. I don't know. And he gets a phone call. Do you know who it's from?
He gets a phone call?
Yeah. It's Gideon. It says, "This is Gideon. When would it be convenient for you to die?"
I always think of Jason Schwartzman's voice now. Whenever I see him, it just works so well with Gideon Graves. Where it's just like, really not nice, like borderline, "Hey pal, how's it going? When would it be convenient for you to die, huh?"
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
I could see that.
And you're like, ugh.
Yeah. Oh, I totally forgot. Not that it's really that big of a deal, but it was interesting. We actually meet Scott's parents. And they're the ones who get him this little studio apartment so he has a place to stay because they're back from Rome. His dad just is like, "Whatever you need, buddy, we'll pay for all your bills, all this." And his mother's like, "This is why he isn't capable of taking care of himself, because you just give him everything." And he even tries to hit his brother, and they were like, "Scott, that's your older brother Lawrence." And he was like, "Oh yeah." He's starting to have some really weird dreams. Even sees Ramona in his dreams, kind of like the video game that he's playing.
And he gets stabbed to the chest
with this sword, and his limbs are ripped off.
And eaten by all the women that he's dated.
Yep. It's great. So symbolic. And then he sees, this was so big. I really like this. He sees Knives. Knives is now officially 18.
Right.
Very exciting. She dresses more differently. She dresses differently. A little bit more adult than she was before. And her attitude towards him has changed very much. She's like, "Scott, I'm always gonna like you." And he's like, "Do you want to have sex? I think we should have sex. Casual sex." She's like, "No, we're not gonna do that." And I thought that was really big, because I feel like old Knives would be like, "Oh my god, yes." You know?
Even then it would be a little weird, because I don't think she has done that, so.
As far as we know, no. Unless she did stuff with young Neil. But we don't know.
People have that weird tendency to just like misread a scenario, and they have this huge blind spot, and then like 2 seconds later they just rush to a realization, and you're like, "Ugh.
Yes.
Why am I so cringe all the time?" But she's good for knowing, like, "Scott, come on. Grow up.
Well,
this is not in the cards."
No, and I thought that was really big of her too, because she tells him, like, "Hey, I'm going to be going away to college," and he's like, "Wait, what? You're part of the friend group and you're leaving?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to be a high schooler anymore. I have to move on."
Yep.
And it was interesting. I liked that because this gave me more of that growth arc for Knives that I was hoping to see in some of the the show and the movie that you don't really get as much. So Envy comes back into the picture because she's going to be performing somewhere in Toronto. Big deal. She didn't know exactly what.
I love the choice again to introduce Envy Adams, and she just owns her whole page. Like she just takes over the whole page. No borders or anything. It's such an Envy thing. Like look at her outfit. She's
awesome.
Yeah.
So she talks to Scott, and she's doing a solo album, solo career now, because Todd and that whole thing. And again, it gets brought up where Scott thinks this is the memory that he had, and she's like, Scott, that is not how that happened. And I used to think she was just gaslighting him to downplay it, and no, now I'm really thinking there's something very wrong with Scott's head, and we do know why.
Oh.
What?
Yep. And there's also a little video game reference. He's wearing a Tanuki suit. Who wears a Tanuki suit?
Mario.
Yay! And even the son has like the smiley face, like because in the son in Super Mario 3 tries to kill you.
So while he and Envy are talking, up walks Gideon, and instead of facing his next foe, Scott just runs away, all the way to the bus station, and he's gonna go and visit Kim. Just leave town.
Leaving.
Just leave.
Yeah.
I'm like, you do have a job that maybe you should do, and Kim's kind of annoyed, like, why are you here? And Kim's parents are like, oh, Scott, it's so great to see you, and da-da-da-da-da. And then they kiss! That's Scott and Kim, in case anyone wasn't sure.
I should have so done a spit take, but that would have been smoothie. That would have been bad.
Especially on the wormwood. No, we don't want to do that. And she's like, no, we can't, because you're not really over Ramona. We already had our thing, and we're better as friends. Which again, like everyone's maturing in this. This is great. It just seems like Scott is the last to mature. Like it just takes him a little longer.
If Ramona leaves Scott, what does Scott have?
Nothing, and that's what's bad. No one should ever be in a relationship like that. No one person should control enough. Yes, you can be sad
Scott
about it.
Doesn't understand that at this point. He doesn't understand like where the self-love comes in. The power to take care of yourself, which is awesome once you finally got that. And you've been in relationships all your life. Like, can you be by yourself and make yourself happy?
While he's talking with Kim, he meets Nega Scott. And they really start fighting.
Yeah.
But then Nega Scott turns into Ramona. And he starts having all of the beautiful memories of Ramona in her many hair colors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even some bad memories.
Oh yeah. And then Nega Scott goes into him.
Whoa, that's sexy.
Not like that. It's like a soul coming into your body. Or
I'm sure he is.
Oh my god. Okay. All right, you.
Go on.
And Scott says, "I remember everything." We don't exactly know why he didn't remember stuff before, but now we know. Like Scott's memories were all jumbled, and that's probably part of the reason why he just floats around. Not knowing what's going on, because he truly doesn't know. His head's messed up. So Nega Scott, I'm not sure. That part I felt like I was missing something, where I'm like, okay, Nega Scott is representing something and I'm not exactly sure what it is.
That's a good question. In the comments below, let us know who you think Nega Scott is representing, or what he's supposed to be a metaphor for. I think it's supposed to be like Street Fighter Alpha. And he's supposed to be like Evil Ryu.
Okay.
And Evil Ryu is kind of like the opposite of Ryu, because he wears a dark gi and his eyes are all evil.
So I don't think Mega Scott's evil.
Satsu, and he turns off the Satsu and becomes good Ryu.
I don't think Mega Scott's evil.
Interesting. Why do you say that? Why do you say that? Let's hear it.
Because he's the reason that Scott actually wakes up. He gives Scott back his memories, or to me it kind of felt like when somebody's not with like kind of freaking out and you do that, kind of like smack them back into reality.
Yeah.
Get them to refocus. So I don't think he was a bad thing at all. He gave Scott back his mind.
True.
Because somebody had a hold of it.
Yeah. I think it's also kind of like the toxic traits of oneself as well. If you're collecting all the good memories, you're also not paying attention to some of the bad ones. So maybe he's waking you up from that dissolution that you had when you were together.
That's true. That is true, because Scott thinks of it as like a little happy video game where there's sunshine and flowers and everybody smiles. And
yeah,
no, that's not how it was. There were a lot of bad times as well too.
Yeah. There's a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
And from the ones around you too.
Yeah.
Mega Scott's really important. He does get thrown away kind of for a joke in the movie.
Yeah, he does. You almost
a really funny joke. When the first time I saw that, I was like, "That's awesome."
But I don't think you needed him in the movie. I think that just left too many questions, especially if you'd never read the book.
So the way that they used them in the movie was good then, because you're like, "Oh no, here comes another fight," and they just like, "Oh, they leave the Chaos Theater together."
Yeah, I guess it's a joke, but again, if you hadn't read the books, I was like, what? Like, why are you adding something else when there's only a few minutes left?
Well, there was also Nega Ninja, too, to kind of tease it in the very beginning. From the arcade game that they were playing.
Yeah, that's true.
And Scott even says, when he first sees him, he has his hands on his hips, and he says, "I can never get past that guy."
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So maybe he realizes the only way to beat him is just to face him and hang out with him.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So Kim puts Scott back on a bus and is like, "Look, you gotta go back. You have to face this. You have to end this. Get back there." Envy and Gideon are kind of together. Like, he's super controlling. Like, he has the final word on her music, what she looks like, what she's gonna wear, the entire set design, and she's going to be performing at the Chaos Theater, which Gideon owns.
Right. I think Gideon really comes off strong
As a guy who has been passed up by a lot of females, possibly back in school. And like that incel, that word probably fits him really well. Because this guy is so controlling, especially over Envy, like as popular as she is. And you also find out some more despicable stuff that he's up to.
Oh my god, he's so gross. I think I told you, he's one of those that just like, nope, vagina close up.
Yeah.
Nope.
And I have some points to make about him aesthetically too later on.
Yeah. So Scott walks in all super serious. I'm gonna do this, goes right up to the bar, takes a drink, and spills some on himself. This is just a big moment and it's so cute. He introduces Neil.
Yeah.
As Neil. Not young Neil. And Neil's like, what? He makes this face.
Yes.
It's the greatest day of his life. Yeah. And we catch back up with everyone. We see everyone's here. It's gonna be a big deal. And in comes Envy in this ridiculous costume and hair. And she's gonna perform her whole set.
She's an angel.
She is.
A battle.
Yeah. And after she comes in, there's Gideon. He's standing behind Scott and he's ready to take him out. So they start fighting.
Yep.
And it's great. I really freaking love it. And do you remember what Gideon pulls out of Scott's chest?
Oh yeah, he reaches right through the Gideon Graves symbol on his chest and pulls out the sword.
It's the power of love sword.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So
And he's going to use it against Scott.
Yes! Which I thought was so cool
Yeah.
that he did that. And that brings Scott down a level.
Mm-hmm.
He totally kills him.
Yeah.
Dead.
Just stabs him right through the chest.
In case you were wondering, he's dead. Because it says so.
Okay, and I'll probably make this point again later because something's going to happen. But since Scott is such an avid video game player, it's so reminiscent of Cloud, Strife, and Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII. Scott even somewhat looks like Cloud, and Gideon Graves is going to be the Sephiroth of this story. Like, he comes in and he automatically kills one of the characters by stabbing him right through the chest. Mm-hmm. Great attention to detail. And Scott's going to get his own sword later, and it's going to look like the Buster sword. So look out for that.
Okay. We go into the place, which they did show in both the movie and the show, the desert of like Scott's mind, and he sees Ramona there. They both own up to the mistakes that they've made. It's really sweet. I do like that, and I think they needed that more, and they didn't have that in the movie ever. They definitely have it in the show. But of course they kiss, and Scott takes it too far because he's Scott.
He's overcome with his feelings for Ramona.
Yeah, he stops thinking with his head and thinks with the other thing.
I think at this point he's actually starting to think with his heart a little bit. But Ramona is saying, don't let that downplay what I'm trying to tell you. It's really important.
Yeah.
What does she say?
Yes, I'm selfish. I've dabbled in being a bitch.
That's a great line.
Yeah. But listen, I came back because I'm always the one who leaves. I could never say goodbye. I don't want to be that person anymore. So, I'm sorry, Scott. I came back to say I'm really, really sorry. And it's really sweet. So that's when they kiss. And his extra life pops up. And this is different. In the book, he got that from defeating Todd.
Yep.
In the movie, he got it
From the Ganyanagis.
Yes, from the twins. Yeah, so he has his extra life, and he's brought back to life. And out of his chest comes Ramona. And she's ready to kick Gideon's ass as well. But this, this just makes Gideon the most despicable person in here. The worst.
Yep.
Yeah. He brings down these 7 chambers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 chambers with 6 women in there. And they're all frozen.
Yeah.
And they give him names for all of them, but they're all the girls that rejected him that he wanted. And he was going to put Ramona in the 7th one.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. And I can't even imagine, like, Envy would have been in one by now.
Right.
If she had said no. No, I hate him.
He's remember when I said incel? He's very much in line with that mentality. It's like, I deserve this, like I built myself and my career, and you have no say in saying no.
Yeah.
He's on another level.
He tells Ramona how he started the league, and he got drunk one night after he realized Ramona was never coming back, and he put out this rant on Craigslist.
Oh yeah.
And that's how all the guys answered, and Roxy answered this.
In the movie where he said, you know how long that took? Like 2 hours. So she was trying to write Gideon a letter. And even then, it's like, you're not giving anybody closure. You're just kind of like, hey, it's not meant to be. And then you're just moving on.
She doesn't even say that. She just disappears. He walks in and she just gets scared and then she disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's the old Ramona. She's changed since then, but that's how she used to operate. And she never gave him that letter. She just disappeared with it.
And she did say, which she says in the movie as well too, he just has this way of getting inside my head. And Scott says, I know what you mean. And she's like, no, literally, he can get into my head through the subspace highway, through the door, like there's a doorway.
That's what the comic book utilizes so well compared to everything else is subspace highway.
Mm-hmm.
Such a cool concept, but Scott jumps head first into Ramona's subspace highway bag and jumps down, and he finds the most evil looking boss battle.
Ugh. And he's got her chained up like his little sex slave.
And she is like, doesn't even look like herself. She's just kind of like, yes, my lord. Yes, I will do anything for you. Just how he likes it.
Oh, yeah. And he's super tall.
Yeah.
His hair's all big. It's very anime looking. Yeah. He's freaking ripped. So they
He's pretty shredded, but he gets even more shredded.
The next page. Then he goes to Godlikes there.
That is how he
got
sees
all the
himself.
women. He does. And he's got all the women that rejected him around.
Hey, and Sephiroth has a final form where he looks like that, but he's just like even more epic with like 6 different wings and stuff. Yeah, he's insane with power. And
He's
he will
also
not
the
let her go.
reason behind Scott's memories.
Yeah,
not
true.
being there. He's been stealing Scott's memories.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because there's points and pockets of history that he's trying to remember, and it would have been way useful for him if he could.
yeah, like now I know why he can't remember if he graduated or not from school, because Gideon took that from him.
Yeah.
Gideon's such a dick. He's the worst. The worst.
He slices Scott right in half.
Yes, he does. But Ramona comes in, and it's all of the forms of Ramona from all of her different stages in life with the different hair.
I am all the Jedi.
Yeah, she does that moment. And she's like, get out of my head. And with her bag, she defeats Gideon. It's pretty
Just
cool.
about.
No, true, just about. At
Basically,
least
takes a lot of his
inside.
power
She
over
takes
her.
his, yeah, but it's the inside the bag. So then
It's like the bag of holding.
yes,
And
so now they're all outside the bag.
Right. She's done holding on,
Yes.
which is such a good metaphor. She's
Yeah.
done holding on to this baggage, and she just wants to let it go and live her life.
Yeah. And what does she earn?
She earned the power of love.
And he healed all of her wounds. So now
Yeah.
she has the special sword. And
She feels loved for the first time. in her
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. From Scott.
And I think she does feel love for Scott. She'll just never say it out loud. Yeah. Time
Yeah.
heals all wounds.
Yeah. And what does Scott earn?
The power of understanding.
Yes, so they both...
Kind of subverted in the movie a little bit, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but he understands Gideon and why he's such a dick.
Yes. Yeah, he does. And also I think that was him understanding Ramona as well too.
Yeah.
In that part. So now they're having a real in-person battle, and it's not just in the subspace that they were before, and the two of them both strike at the same time and slash Gideon up.
Yep.
And he goes down. And the value is
$7 million.
7,777,777.
It's a lot of sevens.
It is.
In the movie, they just make it 7 billion. I love how everyone's like, oh, beautiful. And it's just raining shrapnel. And they're like, ah!
The machine comes down with all the other women. They are all unfrozen. And I'm not even sure how long some of them have been frozen, but it seems like a while because it's been a few years.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
they all start getting phones and calling their loved ones. You see Scott and Ramona, and they hold hands. And Scott says, maybe we just need to hold on. And she says, I've never been good at holding on. And he says, hey, you'll get it. It just takes practice. I love that.
Yeah, her
I
little
think
smile.
it's great. Yes. So we find out that Steven Stills has been dating who?
Joseph.
Yes. We didn't know that he was gay.
No. And
Yeah.
Scott didn't either. And he's also
No.
very shock happy about it.
Yeah, he's like, oh my gosh, when did this happen? He's like, oh, it happened a while ago. I didn't tell you. And he was like, why didn't you tell me? He's like, because you're going to be weird about it.
Yeah. You got a lot going on.
Yeah, he's like, I told everybody else. Everybody else already knows.
He's been recording this with Joseph for a while, so.
Yeah. So it's great. And the cat Gideon comes back. Which is really sweet.
Yeah.
And everybody does well. And it just ends happily with Scott and Ramona going off into subspace together.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was
You're gonna
really
go try
sweet.
again.
Yes.
And who knows? Because it's like you never know what's on the other end of subspace.
No, you don't. I think that's just the representation of now they're going to take that leap forward together into the unknown, which is the future.
Yeah.
And I rather liked it. So my favorite's definitely the books.
It's like Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. And he just says, it's a leap of faith, Miles. You just have to take the leap. And he does in that epic moment, and he's just like, can't stop me now. And he jumps from the building. So cool. Anyway.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it now. I get why you liked it so much because the books are so good. They really are. Like I could even reread them. Like not right now. I'm going to.
They are imperfect characters.
They are, and I appreciate that because nobody's perfect besides Merlin,
Yeah.
and they do make them more relatable. We've all got shit that we need to work through and work on.
Yeah.
And all of these characters do as well.
And if you have enough baggage, you feel like you can mask it, through your ego or your success.
And you could turn into potentially an evil ex of somebody. Because, that's like an unsuccessful point in your life or something that does make you look bad. But you can give it enough closure and apologize for who you were and try to learn from your mistakes rather than just, trying to control somebody.
But unfortunately, in the epilogue, Scott's gonna go to jail because he did murder 7 people.
They respond at home. So, they are good to go.
Okay. Yeah. Wait.
If anyone's going to go to jail, it's Gideon. They're going to find him at home and he's just be like, oh yeah, I did. Yeah, kept 7 or 6 people hostage for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't get away with that one.
No.
No.
But he is also really rich, so he probably won't stay in jail.
Probably not.
But yeah, they'll all be good. And for those that are looking for more of a story for Ramona, you really should check out the Netflix version without any spoilers. It's awesome.
I wouldn't call it the version. I think it's like a part 2 to the books.
It is a part 2 to the books.
Because if you haven't read the books, it's going to be harder to understand and even appreciate the Scott Pilgrim takes off.
Yes.
At the very least, you need to see the movie. If you're going to check out the Netflix TV series, you gotta see the movie. It pays off. Trust us. If you just watch it by itself, you're gonna be like, okay.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah.
Weird stuff going on.
But it's made to thank the fans for sticking with the movie and the series, and it gives them a really cool sequel, I would say.
Yeah. So obviously I'd sleeve this. I'd sleeve the takes off show. Yeah.
Put the record in a record player and play it. For Sex Bomb.
Oh yeah, you have the music. You have the record right up there.
Yeah, I do. They can't see that.
I don't know what you're pointing at.
Can you see that? Can you see that? Just look up. It's fine.
I also have his Rickenbacker bass. It's right there. It's about $6,000.
Yeah.
I also have my own personalized jetpack. I would have been wearing it, but I've already invented it.
Yeah, you've already invented it?
I've already invented 6 jetpacks.
Okay. Now you're just quoting somebody else.
That's just you. That's for you to decide.
Okay.
But We have a very exciting video coming out next, so look out for that. It also involves a lot of Scott Pilgrim characters.
It does. I'm so excited. I made stuff last night for it.
Yes.
I worked on it. It was a project.
Oh, yeah. And if you were to go out, grab a coffee, see a show with any of the Scott Pilgrim characters, let us know which one down in the comments, and then hit that like button.
Wallace.
And subscribe. I also chose Wallace.
Okay, we'll go with him, but the problem is I'm gonna look over like right before intermission.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be making out with you.
Hopefully, I mean, it's Kieran Culkin.
No!
I mean, if only Wallace is. I'm probably come across more to him as Scott, honestly.
Probably,
He
actually.
doesn't really like
No,
Scott.
he doesn't. He doesn't like him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you all for watching. This has been Merlin's Fault. I'm Clay.
I'm Victoria.
See you next time.
Bye.